Until yesterday, you may have never heard of Congressman Mike Johnson from Louisiana's 4th Congressional District, but you're about to hear a lot from him now that he is our Speaker of the House. Finally. He seems like a pretty solid guy to me, even just going on this little nugget alone. But finally having a speaker, even a good one, isn't going to be enough for Republicans to hang their hats on. In fact, after weeks of chaos and infighting, every single one of them is on probation in my eyes. Not only do elected Republicans have to prove to registered Republicans that they can actually represent us, they better get to work on a unified agenda to present to the American people, and they've got less than a year to show us some real work. If they don't, not only will Republicans likely lose Congress in 2024, they probably deserve to. If only these elected and taxpayer-funded politicians had half the hunger, half the guts, half the work ethic of my next guest, maybe we could actually win something for a change. The GOP from top to bottom can learn a whole lot from Scott Presler. He's been traveling the country, living out of his car in his suitcase with one simple but challenging mission: get out the vote for Republicans. I gotta be honest, a lot of our elected representatives don't deserve the work Scott has done on their behalf and without a paycheck, but he does it anyway. And if anyone knows what it's going to take to win, where the GOP falls short, and how to fix it all, it's Scott Presler, and he joins me now. Scott, it's great to have you as always. I know that you're always on the road. I think you've been most recently in Pennsylvania working to get out the vote. What are you seeing on the ground where you are?
Well, we have a Supreme Court election this November, Tomi. Nobody's talking about it. And as we saw under the COVID lockdowns, Supreme Court elections matter. They rule on election integrity. They rule on whether or not universal mail-in ballots are accepted. So this election is consequential. And yes, I understand the importance of Ukraine and Israel and the speakership and everything else that's going on. But guys, we have to focus on the now. And if I make a personal appeal to everybody that's watching right now who cares about election integrity, every county commissioner seat in the entire Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is up for election this November. And it's those very county commissioners that also control the elections. So if you at home want to make Joe Biden a one-term president and that the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania votes to elect a Republican, then I ask that you come out this November and vote for your Republican county commissioners.
The work you're doing is so important, especially on that state and local level. You know, there's so much discussion, of course, about 2024 and who our nominee is and Joe Biden and Gavin Newsom. But all of that on a day-to-day basis probably matters far less to the average American than what happens at the state and the local level, even within their school boards and their city councils. Unfortunately, there's not enough national attention on any of that. But while you're out working on these other races that are so important, we know Wisconsin was also a missed opportunity in that regard. When you're out there and you're talking to people and you're talking to voters, what are you hearing from them? Are you hearing that they plan to vote Republican? Are you hearing that they are still kind of never Trump? What is the sentiment on the ground? Because I feel like what you're seeing and hearing is probably far different even than what national polls are telling us.
Well, Twitter is not real life. Social media is not real life. And so when we hear on social media, I'm not voting, the elections are rigged, all that kind of stuff, I'm not seeing the same thing on the ground and talking to people. I was in Slippery Rock talking about how, look, the Democrats, they may very well shut down the state again. And so therefore, we have to vote this November for Judge Carolyn Carluccio for the Supreme Court. And people were saying, yes, Scott, I'm voting. Yes, I'm coming out. I'm bringing 5 of my friends. And I've been traveling to small towns all across the Commonwealth. Yard signs are out. People are fired up. So there is not the same lack of concern at the ground level as there is on social media. And I think it's important that we point that out, because some people, they just go on Facebook or Twitter and they believe what they see there, but that's not what I'm seeing on the ground.
Are you having luck convincing especially Republican voters that they do need to vote early and take advantage of all these new election strategies that we might very well hate and wish we could get rid of but have to live with? Are they becoming a little more open to what you've been preaching for the last couple of years?
Well, I saw, Tomi, in the introduction, you included a photo of me with Governor-elect Jeff Landry and my work in Louisiana. And I'm very proud to say that not only did we elect Governor-elect Jeff Landry on day one of the primary, it's not going to a runoff for him. He won over 51% of the vote. But the interesting thing is in 2019, Democrats won early voting 44% to 41%. And in 2023, this year, we had the inverse. Republicans won early voting 44% to 41%. And that did play a role in Jeff Landry winning outright on day one, not going to a runoff. And it's in part because of earlyvoteaction.com, my organization pushing for an all of the above approach to voting. But I'll tell you guys right now, in Pennsylvania, the Democrats are beating us overwhelmingly with mail-in voting right now, with early voting. Now, asterisk, some of that is Allegheny County, and we have an important county executive seat that even though that county is 2-1, a lot of the Democrats are supporting Joe Rockey for county executive because the Democrat has gone so far left, so regressive, so socialist, it's pushing moderate Democrats to the right. So some of the numbers may not be a Democrat ballot in its entirety.
Well, that's great to hear. Do you think that's going to translate to a general election in 2024? Do you think that some of those moderate Democrat or independent voters are looking at the disasters that the Democrats have brought us in the last few years? Do you think that they're more likely to flip their vote Republican, or are you still seeing a lot of resistance when it comes to a name like Donald Trump?
Well, I think it's important that we don't get stuck on labels or pushing someone to think of themselves as a Republican. This is about the candidate. This is about policies. This is about the America First agenda. And I'll tell you, I just spent time at Penn State University, the belly of the beast at State College, and I'm bringing a message to young people. Joe Biden wants young men and women to fight his wars. And that is relatable. And let me tell you, when I was talking about that, fight for Ukraine, fight for Joe Biden. We need young men and women to go fight his wars. The young people were not having it. And we registered a plurality of Republicans, even on the last day of voter registration in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So our message going forward is no mandates, affordable housing, food, gas prices, secure that gosh darn border. We want peace, no new wars, no new boots on the ground, and bring manufacturing and jobs here in America, not selling them overseas. Those are the messages that are going to win us the presidency in 2024.
Oh, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I wish that no new wars, no endless funding of Ukraine. I wish that we could say that that was a Republican message. But unfortunately, our party is very divided on that as well. You've got Nikki Haley that's kind of actively beating the drum of war. You've got others like Senator Lindsey Graham, of course, who's always beating the drum of war. So I fear that there could be some Republicans that get in the way of those very pure, easy to understand, easy to follow messages that you're out there communicating to young people. Are you worried at all about the factions of the Republican Party throwing a wrench in the machine that you've worked so hard to streamline?
Well, I'm thankful for Matt Gaetz, and I'm thankful for what happened with the speakership. I know that it was messy, and I know that it took a couple weeks to get there, but I think America is better off under this new speaker, Mike Johnson. And I think we saw, guys, we're the problem. America is funding Palestine and Iran and therefore Hamas, while at the same time we're funding Israel and the Iron Dome. Our government right now is playing both sides of the equation, and that needs to stop. We cannot be the personal piggy bank of the rest of the world, funding terrorism and then funding relief to stop terrorism and then funding it again. That makes no sense. While our education system is crumbling, our roads are crumbling, why are we helping the rest of the world while we are falling from within? And I think that really needs to be our message, that everything should be America first and we provide relief for us, our people.
Yeah, I wish that that could just be the motto of the Republican Party at large. Unfortunately, there are some loud voices that have other ideas. But I know that you're focused a lot on state by state and what's winnable and what needs to be won in order to flip this country back red. What states do you think are at the top of your list that are, to you, winnable and that we should be focusing a lot of energy and attention on as we head into not only these important elections that you're working on now, but the big ones coming up in a year?
Sure. Well, I'll start on now. So this November, we do have elections. Everyone listening at home, we have Kentucky governorship, Daniel Cameron for governor. We have Louisiana runoffs. Yes, we won in Louisiana, but we still have Secretary of State runoff. We have Attorney General runoff, and that's going to be on Saturday, November 18th. So that election's not done, Louisiana. Mississippi, we have to hold the governorship with Tate Reeves. And then we have New Jersey. They have a trifecta state government. If you want to stop Democratic Governor Murphy from passing reckless and dangerous legislation, then we need the General Assembly. Virginia, we have Governor Glenn Youngkin, a Republican, and a Republican House of Delegates. If we pick up 2 state Senate seats, we control the entire legislature in Virginia. And as I mentioned to you, Pennsylvania, every county commissioner seat, if you care about election integrity, the judicial Supreme Court, if you want to make sure that we have an opportunity to win back the court until 2035, we won't be able to win it until 2035 otherwise. But my organization, Tomi, Early Vote Action, because I'm forward thinking, we are focused on Arizona, Nevada, North Carolina, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. Those are my 5. And I know people may say, Scott, what about Michigan? What about New Hampshire? What about Georgia? Well, we win those 5. We win, according to the Electoral College, we win over 270. Now, if I get more resources, if I get more people supporting my work, certainly I can expand to other states, but I'm a reasonable person focused on with what I have on those 5 currently as it stands.
Yeah, you're right about those states. And, I really worry as well about Arizona and Nevada. Arizona has always been a little weird, but it used to be a little bit more reliably red. And I think that 2022 midterms really turned everything on its head, and that state has become such a wild card, but it's so winnable if we're able to just get out the vote and get out the message like you've been doing and like a lot of other, I wish other Republicans were doing. Last thing I want to ask you, every day I see your tweet. I believe today is a day 195 of you reaching out to RNC chairwoman Ronna McDaniel. Still no response. Has anybody from the RNC reached out to you? Has anybody noticed your work or offered to help you in your endeavors?
Well, I do want to give a shout out to Casey Crosby. She's the treasurer of the RNC. And I did work with her in the Commonwealth of Kentucky for Daniel Cameron for governor. There are people who see value in my work. I was just texting with Harmeet Dillon, who was running for RNC chair, who's a state committee woman for California. And within the last 2 weeks, I've had 3 different state GOP chairs reach out to me. So people do see value. I mean, clearly, the work we did in Louisiana worked. The voter registration we're doing in Pennsylvania works. The work we're doing on the ground in Nevada, translating independent voters to Republican, works. I have a methodology that had the proof of concept has been shown to be successful. And whether or not the RNC or at the national level is going to take advantage of that, that's fine. People can go to earlyvoteaction.com. You can support my work. You can join the team. And you can, please, the last thing that I want to say is if you want to help win Pennsylvania, even if you don't live there, please download my application, Early Vote Action. It's on Android and iPhone. You can make phone calls from the comfort of your home into Allegheny County. And I'm telling you right now, we win this race for Joe Rockey for county executive. It will make nationwide news. It will be the biggest upset of the year, and you all will have played a part in it.
Scott, you do such amazing work. Earlyvoteaction.com. That's where people can go check out your work and get involved, especially young people who feel voiceless right now and helpless. They want to do something. They can work with you. They can help you. They can do it in their community. We really appreciate everything that you've done. I hope that you get, a little bit more attention and praise for all the hard work you do, but I know that's not why you do it. Thank you for what you do, and I'm honored to be able to have you on my show and get that word out. We hope to talk to you soon. Be safe on the road.
Thank you, Tomi.
All right, the nation is divided, the world is divided. There's so much hate, misunderstanding, and miseducation all around us. It's enough to overwhelm even the most aware and observant adults. But what about kids? How are they being impacted by the news, the division, and the moral depravity of popular culture?